not gonna talk too much. I'm not gonna talk too much. I'm probably gonna talk too much. Woohoo! Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you all had a great week and are ready to have an even better one. Did you guys find ways to overcome that one thing you chose from your list? Did you start doing little things every day to make sure that you were happier? If it's working, I would encourage you to keep doing it throughout this next week. And if it's not, maybe try switching it up and approaching it from a different angle. Like I mentioned last week, I understand that these things can be rather difficult and challenging, especially if you feel like you have to do it on your own. But good news, I'm here to tell you this week that you in fact do not have to do it alone. Why, you may ask? Because there's this beautiful thing called asking for help. Now, this may scare the living crap out of you, and I absolutely feel that. This is something I have personally struggled with for the entirety of my life, and it might be a really big thing to be bringing up for only week number 2, and you might feel like I'm asking a lot of you, but this is something I wish I understood so much sooner in my life, and especially with the way that 2020 is going, I feel like all the more reason to bring it up and to bring it to your guys' attention as soon as possible. In fact, it took me until only a few months ago to really lean into the concept of asking for help and to be comfortable with not being okay. For the vast majority of my life, I have played the role of being the person that everyone comes to with their problems. And that's okay. It honestly fills me with so much life. I love being able to be there for them. However, I got so stuck in that role that I didn't really believe I could ask for help back. I saw everyone else struggling and I didn't want to be annoying or needy by throwing my problems back onto them. I felt like I had to put on this brave face and pretend that everything was perfect for the sake of everyone else. Because if I fell apart, then who would they have to lean on? Let me tell you guys why it's not worth it. Your pride will kill you, or at least some parts of you, and I mean that in the most literal way possible. Just like a lot of you, I have been through a lot in my life, and throughout it all, I never asked for help. I spent a lot of times locking myself in my room, crying when I'd go out with my friends or converse with my family and they'd ask what was wrong. It was always nothing, perfect, I'm fine. I was known to be the overachieving kid with straight A's, AP classes, and all sorts of sports, clubs, extracurricular activities, working multiple jobs, always seemed happy on the outside looking in. Really, really common things that I think a lot of us go through. But on the inside, I was absolutely dying. I felt like I had no one to turn to and that my whole life was just falling apart. And I felt so guilty for it too, because if you look around, I live a pretty good life, but I felt like everyone hated me at the same time. I was always sick. I spent just so much time just completely alone and isolated. Very long sob story short with lots of parts missing. Throughout the whole thing, I never once asked for help. Sometimes I would go to my friends and they'd always allow me to lean on them, but I never really dove into the things that were bothering me because I always felt like I was being annoying and I was being a burden and I was placing all of these extra problems on the people I loved and care about who I've already watched struggle and go through enough of their own crap. After 8 years of absolutely ignoring how I felt and thinking I'd just get over it or that my problems weren't that big of a deal compared to everyone else's, and refusing to ask for help led to the complete absolute breakdown of this summer in 2020. I was physically sick every single day. And eventually I went to the doctor. I was like, I can't live like this anymore. I was constantly in pain. I didn't really want to get out of bed most days. I went in, explained all my symptoms, and automatically started getting tested for a bunch of things. Another very long story short, I was diagnosed with celiac disease. And for those of you who don't know, celiac is like when you are allergic to gluten. And you might be like, okay, congratulations, you can't eat bread, so sad, like, get over it. But it was a little bit more than that. Once I was diagnosed, I went and I saw a nutritionist, and she basically explained to me that the reason I've developed numerous food allergies and on top of that an autoimmune disease was because my body was under severe stress. AKA, all of my suppressed emotions sent my body into a literal shock, and it shredded my inside. And this was a pretty big deal because since I didn't take care of my mental health and acknowledge my problems when I was supposed to, I had to completely reshuffle my life. I was forced to transfer home from college. I had to leave behind all my friends. I had to drop out of an internship. I had to almost completely restart my life over. So really long story short, by ignoring my feelings and not asking for help, I now have a bunch of irreversible effects that I'm going to have to live with for the rest of my life. But I digress. Let's move on to why it's okay to be afraid to ask for help, but why you should actually do it. I know it seems like a really hard thing to do, but I'll be straight up with you. It's not. It's really not. Your mind and your worries are simply tricking you into thinking that it is hard. Our brains are wired to make sure that we avoid conflict in order to avoid harm. It is the very reason we tend to stay in our comfort zones, because our brains have determined that it's far easier and safer for us to stay in our current situations, no matter how unhappy they may be making us, than to fight against them and rebel. Because fighting against them means stepping into unknown territory. It means stepping into a whole entire realm that's filled with what ifs, which we both consciously and subconsciously believe is far more scary than staying in our cycles of misery. But none of that is true. In order for you to grow and work towards achieving your ultimate dream life, you have to be willing to step out of those limiting beliefs and into that uncomfortable feeling of the unknown. Now, how do you do this, you may be asking? While the answer may be different for everyone, I am going to debunk the top 3 excuses I hear people tell me why they cannot ask for help. All ones I have used myself. Coming in at number 1, I don't have anyone I can ask for help. I'm sorry, but that's just not true. And I know because I told myself this for years. I assumed that no one would want to help me, especially after a handful of people going out of their way to let me know that my problems weren't that big of a deal, or that I was simply seeking attention. But that's because I was asking the wrong people for help. The way to solve this one is to really look around and see who you have in your life. Friends, relatives, maybe even a coworker. Look for someone who has taken a genuine interest in your well-being within your lifetime. And don't tell me they don't exist, because I promise there's always been at least one person who cares about you in this world. There's 8 billion people on the planet. You have to stop using this excuse. I promise you there's someone there who wants to help. You just have to be willing to ask. Number 2, I'll look weak if I ask for help. This is so incredibly false. As you guys already heard, I thought this as well for a very long freaking time. Asking for help can be so scary. Thus, you doing it just proves that you are strong. If people are giving you a hard time for being brave enough to open up about your biggest insecurities and admit that you need help overcoming something, then once again, you are asking the wrong people. How to overcome this would be to swallow your pride. Keep asking, keep fighting. The only way you can be weak in this situation is by not asking, by giving in to these things that are keeping you down and just surrendering, feeling like you have no way out. Don't let your thoughts keep you in this cycle of struggle. Having the courage to move forward and ask for help is strength. You are nothing but strong for knowing that you deserve better than whatever situation you're currently in. And then number 3, my personal favorite, I don't want to be a burden or cause extra harm. This one really hits home for me because I thoroughly believed this. I told myself this almost every single day when I was finding excuses to not get help. However, from what I have learned and what I know now, it hurt the people I love and who love me a lot more finding out that I kept all of my crap to myself and struggled alone instead of feeling like I could come to them and ask for help. The people who care about you aren't going to see you or your problems as a burden. They love you. They want to help you, even if it's just one person out there. And I promise you, the longer you keep it from them, the more it's just hurting the both of you. So, in sum, if you've gotten anything out of my long rant today, I hope that it's that you understand that you can ask for help. It's going to lessen the stress you put on yourself. It allows new perspectives, angles, opinions onto your situation you're currently in. It shows that you're not alone in your fight and that others most likely understand your struggle, or at the very least, they can sympathize with you. You'll find that people love you and they want to help you. Thus, you'll be able to get the help you deserve and you'll feel so much better when it's all said and done. So I highly encourage you as you move forward and you continue to fight through and pick apart those 5 things on your list from last week, that you ask for help along the way. Even something as small as asking for a favor. Asking for help doesn't mean you have to invite people all the way into your garbage. It could just be surface level help. You know what you need, so don't be afraid to ask for it. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm sorry I got a little ranty. I'm very passionate about this one. I need you guys to understand that asking for help is okay. This is something I wish I knew so long ago. So the sooner you can embrace this, the more freedom you will create for yourself, the more pain you will be able to release, the sooner you can get on your path to happiness. So once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys next week. Until next time.